joining us today, and welcome. I'm excited to have you here. My name is Chantel George, and I'll be moderating this very important conversation about how Ohio businesses can benefit from tech credit. So before we jump in, I want to be very clear up front. This particular opportunity is for Ohio employers or companies with employees in Ohio. So if your business touches Ohio in any way, this is for you. If not, you're welcome to listen, but this program specifically applies to Ohio organizations. Today, we are breaking down the Ohio Tech Credit Program in plain English and showing you exactly how to secure up to $30,000 in free reimbursable training for your team before the December 1st deadline, which is in a few days. And I'm not alone. I have an amazing panel with me, and so it's my pleasure to introduce them to you. First and foremost, we have Rob Richardson, founder of Disruption Now. Rob specializes in helping organizations understand and adopt AI in a way that empowers people, not replaces them. He has helped countless Ohio employers navigate tech credit successfully. Rob, would you like to add more to your introduction?
Hey, really appreciate that, and thank you for everybody that's listening right now. I'm Rob Richardson, and we have helped employers really use AI to make sure that they are able to move forward with their organization. And Ohio Tech Cred really offers a really unique opportunity. So it allows you to be able to both use actual state funding to both train your workforce and to really implement and experiment with technology in a way that you'd have to pay for anyway, and that is necessary to do right now. But Ohio is now providing this 30,000 per application, and I want to say that's $180,000 per year in costs directly from the state for those who are willing to take this opportunity. So many employers we've talked to, and I want to make it's a broad definition when we talk about employers. This means nonprofits. This means government entities. This means cities, municipalities. This means nonprofit. You are all employers. So a lot of people don't understand that it covers them. It covers school districts, which desperately need to know how to embrace AI, both from the teachers and the administrative level to also being able to apply our future workforce. So this is why this conversation, Chantel and Vicky, is so important, and we're really excited about walking people through this process. So thank you.
Thank you. And it's extraordinary the resources that are available for all of those entities you mentioned, Rob. So thank you for that. Next, we're joined by Dr. Vicki McMullen, who brings over 25 years of HR and workforce development experience across manufacturing, healthcare, financial services, and education. She is also the former director of the University of Cincinnati MBA program and a trusted advisor to employers around the state. So I'll pass it to you, Dr. McMullen, to talk more about your take and any more about your bio that I may have mentioned and may have forgotten to mention, please.
Sure. Uh, I was fortunate as an HR representative for many companies to really be involved in the founding of TechCred. It started in the fall of October 2019. And it has been such a plus to employers because at one time, the only avenue that we could offer to employees coming into our company and also employees who are in our company was tuition reimbursement. And that was fine for the professional level, but for those workers coming in that were entry level, that most companies were interested in providing additional training, tuition reimbursement, certainly they had the opportunity as workers to take advantage of it, but most did not. Because with tuition reimbursement, you have to put the money up front. And so many of those employees coming in could not afford to pay the tuition. So they were left really to the sidelines in terms of looking for training to advance in the company. So what TechCred did was it offered employees another option that they could sell their company to employees to say, when you come in, we're going to make sure that you get specific certifications for training. These certifications are going to provide you with the opportunity for career mobility within the company once you gain these certifications. And one of one of the most important avenues of TechCred is that initially, as I said, I'm talking from the beginning. Initially, TechCred was based on whatever funds that the state had that they could potentially contribute to training. What TechCred said to Ohio employers is, we're going to guarantee that this funding, and it took some time because initially with TechCred, you would get TechCred at one time, but you had to wait to see whether or not it was going to be funded. Now with TechCred, you know it's going to be there. Employers know it's going to be there, but it took a little while for that. Where and that's really the most important thing, is that it has reached a level, and reached a level of value to the state of Ohio and employers, so that they know that every quarter TechCred is going to be valuable and available to them. Another thing that TechCred has done is that in terms of training providers, what TechCred does is it does the screening for employers. It provides them with a list of training providers that they can choose for the training, so they don't have to find it themselves. And these training providers have been screened by the state, and so they've been validated. So that takes a huge load off for the employer. I mean, I know, Rob, your company is on that list, and many other training providers. And so a company not only is going to have funding dollars, but they're going to be able to choose from providers that are already
Right.
available for the training as well.
Yeah, so I want to make a yes, that is true. Mostly, there's a little bit of a difference here. So there is everybody who is doing training has to meet a level of industry standards.
They do.
Right. So there are two different levels of types of trainers. There are private training providers, and then there are like kind of the public training providers.
Educational institutions.
Right. So like we're one of the private training providers. And so that's what we do. But what everyone needs to know is you should be able to ask people, like, how do they train? How does it apply to their industry? And then what does their training program look like? One of the differentiators with Disruption now is that we're first of all technical folks that actually do custom solutions and development, and have been doing tech and AI before AI became the popular thing to do. Number one. Number two. Training, you can there's a lot of people that do training and actually don't have any of the kind of technical applications or expertise. And so a lot of trainings are very general in their application. What we pride ourselves in is that it's a learn by doing process. Like, we work with you, we identify workflows, we help your workforce, and of course we teach the industry standards, but then it's a real application where you're learning how it applies to your industry as a teacher, how it applies to your industry as an architect, how it applies to your industry, in operations and sales. So there are ways where people have to get beyond the kind of the theory and the general practice of how to just use AI, and also just teach people the muscle, how it applies to them, how to create that real infrastructure within your organization. So that's a differentiator, I think, in how we apply our training. Is not a training by itself. It's also an identification of a 360 process for doing training, training your workforce, seeing where we can improve workflows, helping you build out real use cases, and building from there where you can really identify ways to make decisions faster and get return on investment for your business.
And I think Rob raises a really valid point, that there is a list provided, but it doesn't mean the company does not have to do their due diligence as well. I mean, you have to be able to talk to that provider and ensure that what they're providing is going to meet the goals that you have for the individuals that are being trained through TechCred. That's a valid point.
Okay, well, I feel like the two of you can probably talk about this ad nauseum. I do want to take one step back and help our audience understand in simple terms what exactly is TechCred in the most simple, I guess, basic language. Government programs seem complicated at times, and it can feel overbearing. Can you give me, and either one of you can chime in here, the
Well,
most basic?
I'm going to leave that to Rob, since he's a training provider.
Sure.
Yes. So I think the easiest way to think about Ohio TechCred is it's an opportunity for you to get training and work with technology. Specifically, we do AI, but there's other training opportunities too as well. But it allows your workforce to specifically be trained. So
Yes.
what has to happen is you have to get reimbursed through your W-2 employees in Ohio, right? And that's the key. It's not your 1099 contractors. It's your W-2 employees. They can get reimbursed up to $2,000 dollars per employee, and it's up to 30,000 per round, and there's 6 rounds per year. And what this means in simple terms is that if you are struggling to figure out how to implement AI, the state of Ohio will help you figure that out and pay for it for you if you're willing to apply. That's the easiest way to think about it.
And I guess from the workforce, from Chantel, the workforce perspective is that if you're a company and you're looking to hire individuals, tech cred can be a great incentive for those employers, for those employees or potential employees to consider your company. I mean, I always talk about training when I talk to potential candidates. And I talk about tech cred and talk about that many companies are utilizing tech cred for training. It's a great tool. It's a tool in terms of recruitment. It's a tool for employers to utilize if they're looking for employees. It's a great incentive.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. So just to recap, this is a government, would you call it bonus? What would be the right qualifier here? I know
I mean, it's a
reimbursement,
government application program.
State government.
That's what it is.
government application program
Yeah,
that,
you just have to apply
Yes.
and go through the steps, and you get reimbursed. Unlike well, I think what also intimidates people, Chantel, is people think it's going to be a grant that requires a, RFP proposal, and
Yes.
that's normally what's required with grants. A lot of paperwork to say, do this, tell us this, tell us that. It's literally, especially once you do it the first time, you just have to get your general information together, like your EIN, your
no, we can go
pay.
through that.
We can go
have
through all
to,
that. You just got to get
yeah.
your information together and you apply. I'll let you go through that process when we get
Yeah.
there.
So for the skeptics out there, why do you think this is here for Ohio? Is this replicated in other states? Tell us more about why you believe this is an imperative for the employers of Ohio.
Well, there are program-like opportunities in other states, but it's simply because the workforce we need, in order for us to be competitive as a state, our workforce needs to be empowered and trained, and we don't have enough trained workforce and/or employers that know how to train their workforce. Specifically, I'm talking about AI because it's been such a fast-moving concept that employers have tried to keep up about how to actually position themselves in their workforce. So, the state a while ago recognized the need to have an empowered workforce. They also recognize the substantial cost and time this will take for businesses to do. So why not make it easy for them to work with third-party providers to accelerate this process? So it was actually a very innovative move, and it's something that is underutilized. And the state, to its credit, has now made the process even easier because they recognize most people weren't using the program before. That's why it's a much easier application to go through now.
It really increases training dollars for employers at no cost to them. Really is what it does.
Mm, okay, that's wonderful. So, how long has this program been around? How much longer do you think this program will be around?
Well, it's been around since October of 2019, the fall of 2019. And believe me, it has come a long way. As I said, when we first started using TechCred, we didn't know whether or not we were going to be able to use it again because we didn't know whether or not the state legislature was going to provide dollars for TechCred. And so now every quarter, it's been funded out. The funding period has been really lengthened immensely. It came from a program where you did it once and you had to wait until funding dollars were designated. And the state legislature could have said no. But more and more, again, it's every quarter this funding opportunity is available for employers to utilize for recruitment purposes and also for training their internal employees that are already with the company. So it's been pretty consistent since 2019.
That's really incredible.
Yeah.
My hope is that the employers listening right now are thinking about taking advantage of this immediately. These are funds that have been set aside specifically for your innovation.
Yes.
So that's really wonderful. Thank you for providing that perspective. We touched upon this a little bit earlier in terms of who qualified. So I think, Rob, you gave us an extensive list: nonprofits, schools, pretty much organizations with W-2 employers, correct?
That's correct.
Anything else you want to add to that?
No, I think more entities qualify than they think. Like I said, every single most government entities can get this funding. Nonprofits can and should seek this funding. businesses can. So they should absolutely have a plan to do this. So yes, it's broad. Generally, I would say you are eligible for this funding more likely than not.
And what's interesting also too is, and I didn't realize that it was now available to nonprofits such as schools. And what employers are saying, I've recently read a chamber report, is that students are coming out of high school with less skills that employer, and they're becoming frustrated because they're finding that they have to do a lot more training with these high school graduates that they've had in the past. And so, when you think about things such as AI, employers are saying we want these students to have some fundamental knowledge or some functional knowledge in using AI. But before TechCred decided to fund nonprofits, I didn't know of any other entity I didn't know how this was going to happen. But now that TechCred is funding nonprofits in schools, the schools really don't have, especially when there are companies like Rob out there, they don't have an excuse not to provide this training to their high school students. So that when they interview with companies, they can say, I've had an AI fundamental course at my high school. So it's really providing an additional pool. Schools can push back to say, no, we're offering this training. If you come to our school and recruit our students, we've got AI fundamental training because we've offered that to our students. So what it does for those high schools, they can say to those employers that no, the kinds of things that you're saying students lack when they come into your company, we're going to provide that kind of training. But it's up to employers to say to high schools, these are the things that we're missing, that we're seeing that are missing in your students come out, so that entities such as Rob can partner with these schools, and now they get funding from the state to ensure that these students have these skills and abilities when they come in, and they can transition effectively into an employer company.
Yeah, I would also say with that point, it's also important to know that it won't be enough just to have a certification of a training. When students come out of this, when the leaders come out of this, they need to know how to specifically apply AI to what they do day in and day out. They need to also understand that this is now a new way of integrating work and learning, right? So just talking to the one point with teaching, teachers, some have the temptation to say, well, nobody uses any type of AI, and that's going to be our approach because it's cheating. The problem with that is, of course, when you tell somebody not to use something, specifically a teenager, they're going to use it, right? So what our goal has to be is how do we help them understand how to use the technology and improve their reasoning capacity. There are ways to actually set up tools to do that within AI, but to do that effectively, the people that are actually teaching the course have to actually understand how to do that, which is why, when Vicki said, yes, you need a certification, that's good. But what really is needed is that you need to understand the context of how learning is changing and how to use this to amplify reasoning, to amplify thought. But you can't do that if you don't understand how to principally apply it. This is why, with the school districts that we're working with, that's what we start with, how to actually, they have to know how to this technology applies. They can't delegate it completely to a provider. They have to have real understanding of how to teach in the age of AI.
But do you find?
So I have a question. Oh, please continue.
No. Go ahead. I can hold my question.
Yes.
We have a question from a listener. I'm a bit confused, says Tara. Tech creds are for W-2 employees, and now we're talking about schools preparing their students. The tech creds wouldn't work here, would they?
It's a good question. Yes, I'll answer that question. So how it would apply is anybody that's a W-2 employee. So teachers are W-2s, the leaders are W-2s. So from that perspective, as school districts are positioning themselves to figure out how to move forward in this age of AI, how to create the right policy, how to actually teach to students, they have to be AI fluent as well. So it applies to everybody that is working within the system. And you can use this training to help you come up with better policies. You can use this training to figure out how to deploy the technology correctly. You can use this training to amplify the skills of the current teachers and let the leaders, the principals, the school district board, they need to see the art of what's possible and what can be applied so they understand why this is necessary. So to answer your question, not directly to the students, it doesn't apply, but it's really teaching the teachers and the people that are going to be on the ground empowering our workforce how to go about this and why that's so important. You're welcome.
Feel free to chime in, Vicki, if you have any
I was
additional
just going
thoughts.
to, since we have employers, I was just going to ask Rob, in terms of employers and the work that you're doing and going to be doing in the schools, what can they do to ensure that you can be as impactful as possible in the work that you're doing in the schools? What kind of guidance or what should they be doing to work with you to ensure that you're providing the training that is going to, that they need for these students to get?
Yeah, it's a great question. There's a lot of things. I think many employers actually have to have a basic understanding of how they are thinking about AI, and the same thing that we talked about with teachers. Employers actually are really kind of struggling and figuring out how does this apply to the workforce? What am I looking for? So there has to be a new level of really teaching context. There has to be a new level of understanding how information can be processed, and they need to. When I say they, employers need to redesign the workplace experience. So, and when they are interviewing workers, for example, I know some are employing like AI tools, which sound good, but there's also a lot missing there. They need to ask real questions about, okay, how do you evaluate when AI brings a result? What is your process for showing your work? How do you develop further? So they have to be thinking, and they should frankly have a roadmap and a playbook for multiple level application to AI. One, the entry level, both student and or employee. What does that look like? What are your expectations to get them there? Like most of them don't have that, so they need actually a real playbook for what that looks like. Before just saying like generally, yes, we want our students to be AI native. What does that mean for your organization? Like, how are you applying it to what you do every day? And there needs to be a real thought process about that in a strategic way on a regular basis, right? Because there's this just general thing that people should know AI, but you need to know what does that mean for your organization and how will you apply that? And so it's going to be a retransformation for the workforce as well.
I have a question, actually piggybacking off of that, for Vicki. Are there any particular skill gaps that you're seeing across Ohio employers as it pertains to AI or anything pertaining to our subject right now?
Well, I think the skills gap is that employers are saying that too many of these students are coming out with little to no knowledge of AI. And so what it then means is they have to dig in their pockets to try to get these individuals trained to be able, when they come into their company. And their training dollars, let's be realistic, training dollars are limited with an employer. Certainly they could send the potential the employee to training after they arrive, but they're saying this should be a shared responsibility, and I believe that too. That when these students are coming out of not only high school but coming out of college, they're saying that what should be the responsibility of those institutions in terms of training. And typically employers have been willing to take on that, but they're pushing back. They're saying no, not anymore. We think there are things that you should be doing in order to ensure that we hire your students. So we're hiring your students, we're providing them with employment opportunities, but when they come in, we also have to fill the gap in terms of what they don't know. And so they're saying now this should be a shared responsibility, that they shouldn't have to take it on themselves, that there should be a certain level of knowledge that the schools should be doing, both colleges, not just high schools, but they're saying this about college students too, that there's some things missing in terms of their knowledge, that their expectation is for them to have them if they're going to come and recruit from your institution.
Yeah, I think the challenge there is that like we've grown up in this age where people use technology quickly without understanding how to actually amplify your critical thinking process. So I think what schools are going to have to do is actually they can't tell people not to use ChatGPT or AI. It's just not going to work.
No.
They have to then figure out how do we use these tools to help challenge students further, to be able to do more, to be able to retrieve knowledge faster. So now I'm going to be if I'm a teacher, you have to evaluate things differently. Yes, you have to there are some fundamental things you have to learn and understand and connect. Then you need to be able to teach people, how do you retrieve information with AI to learn more? How do you provide tools and resources and systems, use the systems thinking that you have learned here and apply it to AI to make sure you can now do more and apply more. And then how do you then check for errors and think about quality assurance? Like, we all have, if I had to say a skill we have to learn, it's two things. I think everybody's going to have to be a systems level thinker, thinking about how things connect in multiple patterns. It used to be that your one department just thought about your department. You have to now become a systems thinker with all you do. And so, like, no matter where you're teaching, if you're in marketing, you have to become a systems thinker too. Like, it used to be, I just focused on marketing. That's no longer true anymore. And so that is both, it's a hard challenge for people, but it is a great opportunity for those who are willing to learn how to learn and apply these new principles.
Because I think to
I
your point,
appreciate
Rob,
that.
I'm sorry, I'll wait.
Please.
Because I think to your point, if you're an institution and the one down the street is doing what the employers want to be done in terms of preparing your students, and you're not, or if you're a college where your students are coming out and they don't have the skill, that it's been like that forever, and I've been in education a long time. They go to the school that is really preparing their students to come into the work environment ready to work. And now with AI, if you're coming into a company and you don't have some kind of AI training, for many companies, you're not ready to work. And so they're going to go to those institutions where this is being done and hire those students, and that's going to leave your entity out because you're not doing it. This is not something that are nice to do. This is, the employers are saying, we want this done. This is what we want to have done. And so
Absolutely.
it's not a choice anymore. You're going to have to find a way to get it done.
That's really excellent. And I think that just bringing back that question up again, we're looking at upskilling an entire society. And as an employer, you need to be thinking about the next generation, because those are the folks that are going to keep your business moving now and in the future and in the far future. So it's all connected and all important, and I appreciate your perspectives. Now I'd like to actually make this real. So instead of showing a graphic, we're going to walk you through an actual Ohio Tech Cred application live, so you know exactly what to expect when you do this. So Rob, if you can go ahead and share your screen and take us through each part, that would be very helpful. You're on mute, just as an FYI.
Can you see the screen?
Yes.
All right, wonderful. So we want to just walk you through kind of what the process looks like. So you're going to go on here and you're going to go to the Ohio Tech Cred and you're going to apply. So this is the part, like, getting basic things together will really help. And once you do this once, it becomes a much faster process, but it's still not a long process. It'll take you all of 10 to 15 minutes of concentrated time, specifically if you have this stuff with you from the beginning. So you have to go on and log on to Ohio. You go to this link, ohio.gov, and you'll find this. So when you're looking up to apply for the Tech Cred application, you're going to need to have your federal tax ID, and you're going to have to input that. So it looks like this. Like, once you get your login basic information, which you have to just go to the website for the state of Ohio. Then you're going to put your federal tax ID number in here. So that's something that you're going to have. You're also then going to need your, once you do that and this comes in, it's going to ask you if you're a government entity. And if you are, you have to say yes or no. Your business name. And a lot of times your business name will come up once you put your payee ID information. So not your payee ID information, your Ohio charter entity number. What that is that's at the Secretary of State office. So you have to go there and find that, and you'll go look at, like, literally do a search under your business name on the Ohio Secretary of State, and your entity number is going to come up there. You will then put it in here. All right, small exception, right? If you are a government entity, you won't have a business entity number for the Secretary of State because you are not a business, you're a government. So that won't apply to you, and that'll be blocked out. I will also say we had some issue initially working with a government entity, they had to contact the Tech Cred, that's an email, and they got back to them in 24 hours and just said yes. They made it easier to make sure that you can move forward with your application. They just said, oh, we fixed it. But a lot of times, if you're a government entity, sometimes this first time gives you kind of trouble with the Ohio entity. You have to probably just refresh your browser and clear it to start over again. That's only if you're a government entity. Your pay ID information, you'll have to go here to this link right here, ohiopays.ohio.gov, and you can create one, or you may already have one, and sometimes it comes up automatically when you enter your Ohio entity number. If you don't, you create one very quickly here, and it comes back up here. And that you need that because that's how they make sure you get paid. So this is when you actually, after you apply and you start the training, you have to pay for it. But you don't have to. This is a very important caveat. While the windows are open, there are windows, which we have a window right now that closes December 1st at 3 p.m. When the window is open, you just have to get the application applied for so you have the eligibility to be reimbursed. All right, so once you do this, you put your you log in, you put your federal ID number in, you get your Ohio entity number, you get a payee ID just following the instructions right here. And then you just click off basic information about your business. Then you have to fill out who the contact person is for leading the process within your business itself. Who's going to be the contact person that the state's going to work with, and if you have another person completing it other than the person filling out the application, you can put it here. Sometimes, this is very rare, but if you have a professional employee organization doing your workers' comp, we had this happen once. Most people don't have this. You have to put that professional employer organization information in, but you should have all that information within your payroll department if they take care of your payroll. But once you get through this, the good news is you do this once. For every other time you do a Tech Cred, you never have to do this part again because it'll be plug and play, right? And then you go to the next step of when you actually apply. So you get to add credential right here. You'll click on that red button and add credential. Once you do that, you're going to choose what type of credential you want. And I don't have the screen down, but I would pick it right here. It would come down. I'm going to try to make it a little bit bigger here. So you're going to click it and you're going to choose a credential. What you normally do is you go under IT and cybersecurity, and because that's where, if you're doing AI, that's where all the AI stuff is. And you're going to do a search, and you're going to search for AI, and you're going to look for AI credentials, and there's going to be like 50 of them. When you're first starting off, and if it's your first time, you should choose the credential AI readiness. Okay. If you're working with us and you are an employer that has a good amount of W-2 employees. When you put training costs, we usually charge $1,000. Some people charge $2,000. Some people charge different things depending on what they're doing. If you look for training providers, we're a private training provider, which you would put in our name directly. For this one, it would be Disruption Now Media LLC. It would ask you the cost per person. For us, it would be $2,000. And if you have 15, that's the total amount is $30,000. So this will come up and it will just fill out for you once you just choose the number of employees you're having and the cost. So the training information, again, that's kind of what it's talking about here. How many employees? You can put no more than 15 if the cost is $2,000. You can do more if you just can't exceed $30,000. But you'll fill this out with our people. We have them just fill out 15 for the number of employees who will actually earn the credential. Number of prospective employees, we usually say 0. And then the total reimbursement cost expected, that's usually for us for $30,000. And then the number that the employer has to contribute, it would be 0. You would save and you would close, and you're essentially done after that. You would go to submit application, and I don't have that part up, but it just asks you very standard questions, check, check, check. And the key thing I want people to know is you hit save and you hit submit. It doesn't count until you hit the button submit. And sometimes you hit submit, it'll show you that you have some type of error. But that's pretty much it. That's all you do.